Welcome back to No Man's Radio, the only podcast to broadcast into the infinite cosmos. I'm your host, Tom, joined by Joe.
Hello.
And Charlie.
Hello.
It's been a minute, hasn't it?
It's been a minute and a half.
Yes,
yeah,
it has.
it's been
At
quite
least.
some time. So, if you've been following the show for the 1 or 2 episodes that are out right now, I'm sorry for the delay and the break.
But are you, though? Because we really couldn't help it.
Yeah, what had happened was the game got pushed back, and that kind of pushed our schedule back even further because there is, before the game comes out, only a limited amount of stuff we can talk about. But, this week there were some rumblings. Before I get to any of that, a couple videos, a couple leaks. Like a leaky faucet.
Yeah, like you need to call a plumber and he's got to come and fix
Yeah,
it.
the intergalactic plumber.
They're very similar things,
Yeah.
yes.
But before we get to that, just want to pimp some stuff first. You can find us on Twitter at DMastercast. Give us a follow. Also, give our sister podcast, Podcast Demaster, to listen. That's where we talk about just general gaming news. The podcast we're recording now, No Man's Radio, will be filmed as well. So this will go up on YouTube if you choose to watch it and you want to see our pretty faces while we talk about No Man's Sky. You're more than welcome to do so. We would appreciate the views. Like and subscribe if you like what you see. Check out our Twitch channel wherever we're live streaming. We're probably gonna be live streaming No Man's Sky next week when that
for
comes
sure.
out.
Yeah, definitely.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
And you can find us at twitch.tv/Podcast Demastered. One word. We stream every so often, but to kind of get into the meat of the show, now that that's all done, there were some big kind of revelations this week. Maybe good mixed with bad, which is kind of what seems to happen with No Man's Sky.
Seems like every time there's something about this game,
People
it's
flip
like
out.
good mixed with bad because it's either the overwhelming reaction of, oh, this is the best thing ever still, or it's the reaction of, this game is going to be the biggest disappointment because you guys are so excited for it.
I saw a good comment, which is that people aren't in love with the game yet. They're in love with the marketing for the game.
yeah,
Yes, yeah.
absolutely.
And I
that's
think that's
very
kind of true. And I think we've seen such a vile and kind of strong reaction whenever anything comes out, whenever anything
People
negative. But
Mhm.
now we kind of have the most circumstantial evidence that No Man's Sky may not be what we thought it might be. And this is coming from a guy who paid $1,300 to get his hands on the game early.
Fucking
Yeah.
insane.
I was
amount of
actually
money.
very scared because I had read that article and then found myself on Twitter like, holy crap, this might get spoiled any second. And I turned it off.
So I've already had a few things inadvertently spoiled for me. Wasn't looking them up; they just kind of happened to be there.
Are you going to spoil them for us now?
nothing,
No,
nothing
I
in
didn't
particular.
I would hope not.
It's more so just some imagery. But yeah, this guy. I think his name on Reddit was Daymiham. He got the game from, I don't know, I think it might have been a tester or something. But he paid the $1,300 for it, which, if you have the money, why not?
I guess.
And his reasoning was sound. He was like, look, I know it's a lot of money, but at the same time, this is something I wanted to experience. His reasoning was he wanted to experience it kind of before the world had gotten populated.
I would love to have that opportunity.
I mean, with 14 quintillion planets, I don't think you have much to worry about in that scenario. But his impressions weren't all that positive. We had some rumblings about bugs. And you have to keep in mind that this is probably pre-day one patch.
Yeah.
Yes, it
It
is,
only
yeah.
took him about 30 to 35 hours to reach the center of the galaxy.
hell, that's a big chunk of time, like.
That is a big chunk of time.
So wait,
and-
can I ask you, is
Yeah.
that like him heading straight towards the
It's
center?
him
like,
rushing. He
it's
said
rushing.
he rushed
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
end. Yeah.
And-
I plan to take a good amount of time.
And that was my thought as well. And to us, 30, 35 hours is a large chunk of time. But I think he's just kind of going off of what Sean Murray said, where he said it was going to take hundreds of hours to get to that point.
and I want to
Yeah.
put like a 150 hours. Just like me really loving a game like The Witcher or Dying Light. Those are the games where the gameplay is so good and it's so enticing. Like I just don't want to stop.
Exactly. And I'm in the same boat as you, where I don't plan on bull rushing to the
Yeah.
center. I have some stuff I want to do. I'm still like headstrong on wanting to become a trader because I like that whole gaming the financial system in games. But
We know from your Fallout experience.
yeah,
you
or Fable.
maniac.
But that being said, about the financial system, he actually said he never had an issue with money, and I don't know if that was through trading or what. But he said that he felt like he always had what felt like a near infinite supply of money, and he felt like his character might have been a little overpowered through most of the game.
Okay.
So it's possible that he could have just been heavily resource grinding, and I'm fine if you can grind enough and collect enough resources that you can just kind of have that constant flow of money by being a trader. But do you think that's going to be an issue where people will be upgrading and becoming too strong, maybe too early into the game?
Well, my theory for this whole thing is like, you got to take the facts. Like, he played it in 35 hours and beat it. I'm going to bet that's little to no time spent gathering or anything. So that leads me to believe like maybe the game is unbalanced and it needs an update, and they probably have that update in the works.
It's possible, yeah. And we have to keep in mind, like I said before, this is all pre-day one patch.
Yeah, I'm just trying to put the pieces where they lie.
I kind of agree with, if this guy was rushing, I kind of agree with what maybe you're saying. But just in general, most games do have a problem where that any type of leveling up system or currency system can be kind of broken in games if
Yeah.
if it's not play tested, you know,
if it's not play tested enough, or if you just put enough time in like an early area game, by the end of it you can, I mean, this is gonna sound weird, I always had this problem in Pokemon.
Oh, absolutely,
where
yeah.
you get your 6 that you go with, but you always want to catch more, but then they're so under leveled to where you are that
they just shoot right into the PC.
Yeah,
you know?
they're not even worth your time. So my main point though is saying that it might just be a possibility that he did over level to a certain point early on, and then that kind of projected him to the end of the game.
And that's kind of the way I like to play games. So I feel like I might play something similar, obviously taking my time a little bit more with reaching the end game. Where I like playing games in a sense where I do over level. When I play even Souls games, which I know everyone says, you know, you want to go in to new areas kind of under leveled because you want that challenge. Yeah. I prefer going in over level, and I do it in JRPGs as well. So I feel like I might take that approach with No Man's Sky. But I caught a little bit of his streams before they were very quickly shut down. But he did spend a lot of time just kind of meandering on that first planet, which I think you kind of have to.
Yeah, you should.
I think they've said that about the game too. Like, don't expect to jump into this game and just fly. Yeah.
So it's possible that he was just spending more time than we thought he was on these planets. And we've had a lot of people coming out saying that this is possibly a demo code, like something from the show floor, where, you know, like when you see the demos for the game, obviously they have they have stuff. They have like end game stuff or late game stuff, and it's possible that he was just playing that. And I think a lot of people have kind of been clinging to that theory because they don't want to believe that No Man's Sky may not, I don't want to say not be as robust, but it won't be quite what they thought it's going to be. And this goes back to what we were saying earlier about the kind of not violent,
entitlement,
but like that
thing,
guttural
really.
reaction people
like
have.
People, they grasp onto the idea of what they think it is, and it's kind of weird because a lot of people are thinking the same thing, and then they feel like that's the game that should be put out with really, like, they haven't communicated to Hello Games to like, we think this, like, if only these people could get on Twitter, and maybe they are, I'm not sure how the vocal minority is with this game, but if they could just communicate that idea, that could solve the problem. They could, you know, like, let's push the system a little bit in terms of this kind of gameplay. Or like if everybody's really just set on like an exploration game and not really like, I need to go collect X, Y, and Z to get my ship to fly that far, those two people might not necessarily overlap.
Yeah.
So I think communication from like we had so much time. We had so much time to like say what we thought and like tell them what we want and develop. I'm sure there's no developer in the world who would be like, no, we don't want to hear.
Exactly.
We don't want to hear our fans' ideas.
And especially for a small studio like Hello Games, and this is such a big game for them. Like they're almost like, well, it's still very much an indie game. This is almost like their first big AAA game in a sense. I think they're looking for that kind of feedback.
It's almost like an indie AAA game.
Yeah.
Which is like a weird genre now becoming a thing.
Well, my point is like I'm putting the pressure on us. Yeah. Like it's our fault. We might be psyched up for the wrong kind of game.
Yeah. That's true. But that's going into any piece of media, maybe not even exclusive to games, but if you hype something up too much, inevitably you're going to be disappointed.
For sure.
And that's why I think with No Man's Sky, it's important to have somewhat leveled expectations. I still fully expect that you should expect a good game.
I do.
Yeah. And I think that's absolutely 100% going to be that there's going to be a good game in there. Yeah. But I'd say keep leveled expectations for what this game is.
And it's actually, if you listen to Podcast Demastered, it's why I've been playing. It's why I downloaded a game like the Solace Project. Just to push those buttons and see like how I react to that kind of gameplay. Like even just collecting, maybe not necessarily surviving, but just like how I feel about like having to do things to get stuff to go places.
So, almost on the subject of the videos being out and the streams going up,
Yeah.
I wanted to run it by you guys. With a game with 14 quintillion planets and really only one area that can be spoiled, then you could consider that the center of the universe. Can a game like No Man's Sky, taking the center of the universe out of the equation, can a game like that really be spoiled?
Okay, so
If it's entirely possible that no one player is going to see the same planet?
so removing the goal of the like that end
Yeah.
goal,
Yeah.
removing that. No,
It-
personally, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Unless you're more a environmental and a lot of people. This is to me going two step like Tom. You're not a big spoiler guy. You don't care really. Most
I
of the
don't
time.
get too uppity about it, no.
I'm more spoiler sensitive when it comes to like story beats personally.
Absolutely, me
That's why
too.
like if you didn't take the end game out of it, the center of the universe, I would have said yes. Like to me, that is the spoiler.
Yeah.
But taking that away, I don't find seeing other planets or seeing seeing like the different, if there are different alien races, like or what we see of them as spoilers. I don't find that like, because to me that's just playing the game to a certain point, and they're not like, it's not like you're gonna go find this character and he's gonna be telling you this like great like long
Exactly.
like history of the world. And even if he did tell you the history of the world, it's not telling you what's in the universe. And,
And
to me, that's more
it might not even be the
important.
history of a world that any other player is
Yeah.
going to find.
Yeah,
So I was gonna play devil's advocate, and that was gonna be my point. Like you could, let's say you want to play No Man's Sky and you just want to trade, and that's
Yeah.
all you want to do. You really don't even care. You might find information about a civilization, like those little tombs and stuff. I'm not sure how much information you can get, but like to a certain point, each of these planets could have a lore. They could. I don't know. This could be my perception being warped of what I think the game's going to be, but it totally could be that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could be spoiled. Actually, I think.
Yeah.
Just for me, it wouldn't.
I just have to see what the depth is of like what each planet means to the entire.
I
game.
think it's tricky because we don't know entirely what themes are going to be present across all planets,
Mhm.
especially in terms of plot, because we do know that there are those kind of catalysts, those what's the word I'm looking for? The thing from 2001: A Space Odyssey was called this.
Oh, I don't know. I never saw that movie.
Ah,
Never read the
Right,
book.
do you mean like a? Repeat your point. And let me.
But yeah, like kind of those large stone structures that have like ancient alien text on it that kind of give lore, give backstory, and also you learn new languages.
just like slabs, like
Yeah,
giant
slabs.
like tablets that
Yeah.
are like
like those are going to be something
like
that,
inscripted with like hieroglyphics.
Basically.
That's why I love the Solace Project,
And-
because you
and-
run into those all over
and
planets.
that's going to be
all over the
something
planet.
that I feel is present across the whole galaxy. Maybe not on every planet, but I think
Exactly.
you're going to see that. So I think it's possible to have that aspect spoiled for you, but at the same time, you could be learning different things in different parts of the galaxy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's the tricky thing for Sean Murray and the team is how do they tell a coherent plot or how do they get across a coherent story, a coherent backstory
in any
when-
percentage of those planets
when
also.
exactly in any percentage of those planets where no one player might ever see the same planet.
It almost seems like a crapshoot at that point, like
Yeah,
a waste
basically.
of time. But I feel like they're the kind of people who could kind of put that work into it
Yeah.
and then just be satisfied knowing like 0.01% of people got to that planet and saw that. Because even that idea is cool to me. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
No, I mean, I think that's cool. And obviously the stuff would be backlogged in some kind of codex, which they confirmed is in the game. Though one thing I kind of want to say about spoilers, and this is interesting, is spoilers are one of the reasons that were given for the lack of early review copies.
Yeah.
Now, how do you guys feel about that? Because to me, that always,
It's a
with
telltale
most
sign,
games,
yeah.
raised a red flag. But I think with No Man's Sky, it's a little different because of what they're trying to achieve with this game. And obviously that's kind of already been ruined with a player getting a copy early. I think they want players to be going into a completely empty galaxy.
Uh-huh.
I always say get the reviewers the copy as soon as possible.
Yeah.
I think those people, and even if you don't, there are enough people who review games online, whether it be on YouTube, via podcasts, or like traditional gaming websites, that that's not going to be spoiled for you. Like, or they're trustworthy enough to a point where you know who's trustworthy or not, to not spoil your games or whatnot. So even if they selected, like, even if they did away with like YouTube reviewers and did away with podcast reviews and just went to traditional websites like an IGN or a Polygon or a Game Informer, those people at minimum should have the game by now already, in my opinion. So to me, I do have a little I don't personally have a problem with it because we've been proven wrong multiple times now, even just alone this year, that the late review copies aren't the aren't
retail
like,
code.
Particularly with something like Doom.
Like Doom, that's
Yeah,
the
I
game
think
I was
Doom
saying. I
was a
couldn't even
perfect
think.
example.
Yeah, Doom was a good example of that. So I don't think that's like really the worst sign in the world that they're not setting it. I just think it's annoying on our end as people who want to see the reviews. I think it's annoying on our end. I think it's annoying on their end because now when they do get review copies, they have to rush through it.
Yeah.
And I'd rather, and most people are going to take their time and now delay the review probably post game because now they're going to be
I wonder
thinking,
if they're even going to consider beating the game necessary to complete their review in
That's
this
an interesting
scenario.
idea.
You might
I would
not
say
need to.
I would say you do need to because that end game content is going to factor. Like if it like this is your like coolness chart, like your
Yeah.
coolness progression, like minimum coolness being here, but the curve like closer to the end of the universe, if you can see this on camera, is going to be here, and maximum coolness is up here.
Yeah.
You know, so like that is
Yeah,
totally
they
gonna
have stated that the planets get more complex and varied
Exactly,
the
so-
closer you get to the center of the
So
universe.
I would say for a fact, yeah, it's gonna factor in.
And honestly, I think it's totally doable. If the game is, I think the thing with the review copies is that you are gonna have reviewers going at different paces as well. So like you're gonna have like GameSpot gets a review out before IGN, who gets a review out before Kind of Funny, and I think that's gonna create an interesting dynamic here where maybe this is gonna be like a race to the first review. And
Exactly. Yeah, that's funny.
I think it already is. I think as soon as you get, say the review copies go out
Yeah.
on Friday or Saturday of this week, depending on when you're listening to it, the review copies could already be out. We're recording early on in the week, but you're going to have people who have it out on that day, the day of no matter what, whether they beat it or not to completion. I think whether it's the bigger websites, I don't think so, but you're going to have like the smaller people who just want to get those. And hey, you know what? If we were given a copy of it,
Yeah,
I'd be saying,
rush into the. Yeah.
I'd be saying, hey, let's play as much as we can this weekend and get our initial thoughts on it that
Yeah.
Tuesday over where the
I
hell
would
the
drop a
embargo
lot
breaks.
of plans if that happened.
Yeah.
as would I.
So
yeah.
like as someone like, but not
I
in
don't know
that.
if I'd pay $1,300.
No.
No,
But I'm saying like
no.
if for whatever reason we got one. But my point is for saying is in that position, yes, I would jump on early impressions as soon as possible. But if I was a site like IGN or whatever, I'd do the review in progress things.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
have your initial thoughts day one, and then you slowly build up to that
Your
review for
30-hour
later in the
impressions.
week. Yeah.
You know, yeah.
So I think it's an interesting problem. I think it's a problem most games have now, especially with games like The Division. We found out earlier this year was kind of the same way. Destiny was another one.
Yeah.
So you're seeing those types of games with these bigger games that demand population in some way.
I don't know if No Man's Sky is necessarily a game that demands population.
Yeah, I was
though.
actually just gonna say because the percent chance you're gonna see someone is like under 1%.
Yeah,
you know?
and I like the way you describe multiplayer as like if you see another player, you might not even recognize it as another player.
Exactly. That's
Because there might not be a name over their head.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
But actually, I don't remember if this was. I actually want to look this up first because I think this might have been from Damien's impressions. That you actually can see like your PSN friends on the map, and you can attempt to get to them.
Okay.
I remember reading that.
That's interesting.
I
That
would,
is a feature.
I like that idea. I mean, I don't know how much that's gonna affect my decision. Like
And
Like,
this
I'm
could be
curious
something
what
that
the-
was, this could be something that was added on relatively later on as they heard more and more people complaining that they kind of want to be able to have a better chance to have a multiplayer experience in this game.
I'm on my phone like a millennial. I really think it shouldn't matter either way. It's cool it's there. You can at least acknowledge the fact that
Yeah.
your friends are in the same, like anything to ground this video game reality anymore. That it's a cool thing. It's not going to affect my play.
Yeah, I won't purposely go after people, but I think it would be cool to see, like, say 10 of my friends on my PSN all get it. It'd be cool to blow out the map and just see like
See where they are.
like
Yeah.
oh, I started here. Let's see where Tom started. Oh, okay, he's over there.
And I
See
think
where
that's
Charlie
going to be
started.
tracking everyone's progress is going to be one of the cooler parts of this
Yeah.
game.
Yeah,
And like the communication aspect around it of, hey, I discovered this mineral over here on this planet. You can come to. I don't know if there's gonna be a coordinate plane, but like maybe there is a coordinate plane where you can kind of track it a little bit, and I think it's gonna create a really cool communication around the game, almost like the Soul series has, where people are discovering new stuff. All
It's
the
kind
time.
of very limited. Wow, I just totally forgot what I was gonna say.
That's all right. It happens.
Continue.
I didn't know what he was going to say, so I couldn't finish it for you.
But do you think like multiplayer? So say there is a large enough demand for multiplayer where Sean Murray and his team at
maybe like an
Hello
arena
Games
planet?
decide that okay, we should add some stuff, or the game grows enough to a point where there are enough features to allow fast travel, something of that nature, where people can meet up with their friends. Do you think we might see some other multiplayer facets added in, like arena combat?
Not in this game. That would be a No Man's Sky 2 thing.
You
Whether
think?
they do like make a whole nother universe type thing. And yeah, I could see that happening. Where I think I'd be surprised if we got major updates like that to this game. I mean, fuck, if they do it, that's awesome. Also depends how good is the shooting. Like, how does that feel? Like for arena type stuff. Like, this game isn't being shown off as like the first person shooter. So for all we know, the first person shooter might not be the best, and for that, it might not go into competitive multiplayer. Really,
Yeah, I
that well.
don't think the shooting is going to be the highlight.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
more about exploring and finding stuff and the trade systems and
Yeah.
improving your ship and your personal gear to get further into the game.
Just
It'd be-
imagine how
it-
much better of a game it would
But
be if the first
it would
person
be
shooting
cool
was great.
to
Yeah.
trade resources with your friends.
Of course, or with anybody, you know,
Yeah.
for that matter, regardless of AI or not. 'Cause
Yeah,
we're going
but
to get
like-
the opportunity for
But
that.
no, you can do that. That's confirmed.
Yeah.
You can do that with.
I know. I'm just saying that's going
on
to
the
be
space
infinitely
stations.
more likely than trading with a friend.
Yeah,
I
they're-
mean,
But
they
if
were-
that were built in,
Yeah.
that would be dope.
if they were to make like social hubs, which would be interesting, of where you can travel to and actually communicate with other players.
The problem is though, like it's impossible to
Or-
make that planet a percentage more likely you're going to
or
find
maybe
it. It just
it's
wouldn't.
not even a hub. Maybe it's not even like you're interacting with the people, player avatar to player avatar. Maybe it's more a menu where I need this resource, and you can go check out this list of other people who have said resource and what they need.
You can send
trade
your
through the
space
system.
parrot out. It just you see a little
Basically-
parrot flies away. It pulls out of your little backpack, and a parrot.
Oh,
flies.
obviously, yeah.
It's carrying a little
Yeah.
space tube.
oh, okay.
But no, I mean like something like that's maybe not avatar to avatar, but it's a board or something in the space stations you can trade with the community at large, and it'll show you like players online, players who have resources you need in your region.
Yeah.
The possible updates for this game actually are really fascinating.
Yeah.
because they can either go very safe and do stick with minor bug fixings with a few other things, or they can go in the a drastic route. And I mean, if this game sells well, I'm assuming there'll probably be
It
some
seems like it's on a
internal
track to
pressure
sell
to
pretty well.
Yeah.
to make a No Man's Sky 2.
I was actually just going to say this while we're on the brief tangent of it. Like, I get uneasy thinking about a sequel to this game like I get uneasy thinking about a sequel to Destiny. At first, I'm okay with that idea now, and it makes sense, right? But it's
Yeah.
kind of like a free-form online type thing to a point, and No Man's Sky is just infinitely more free-form, where, like, what could No Man's Sky 2... Why? You know, like, this is so infinite. Why?
Well, who knows?
You know?
And that's the
I
exciting
don't
part.
think... I
You find ways to make a more unique universe. You find
Yeah,
more.
but
Sure, but-
adding features almost like what we were just talking about.
Yeah, of course. But I really, if it sells fantastic, like 1 million copies
Yeah.
in like its first month or whatever, that's pretty good, right? I would say. Is that good? In its first week, in its opening week, it sells 1 million.
For
Let's
this game, I
say-
feel like 1 million's slightly disappointing.
Okay, really. So let's say I'm not sure what the number is, my good
Yeah.
friend Joe, but let's say the numbers are good in its first
Yeah.
week. I still really don't think they're going to make a second one. And if it's astronomical, like if the numbers are off the galactic ramp, that was really nerdy. I'm sorry, but let's say the
that was
numbers
pretty
are
bad.
off the charts.
Yeah.
Sure,
And-
they can make a second one for money, but
And it's hard to say with this right now because
We don't know the answer to what's at the end of the game.
because
Exactly.
we don't know what this game already provides that would almost lead us to. And also, it's hard to track how this game is going to sell because there is a lot of hype around it.
Yeah.
And I do expect that it'll at least do somewhat decent. But what if the game isn't what people think it's going to be? Which I
I
think
know,
there's
that's
a
the scary thing.
chance that could happen, and negative word of mouth gets around, and people are like, "Oh, I guess I should stay away from that." And I think that could kill a lot of potential sales for No Man's Sky, because I think No Man's Sky, while we are excited about it, we're doing a fucking podcast about it
Yeah.
right now. It's an unknown variable.
Absolutely. Like this game could be shit and we do 2 more episodes of this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like we could literally find out in our live stream of the launch of the game that the game sucks.
That's gonna be awkward, right?
That's gonna be cool, I think.
Which we will be live streaming No Man's Sky the day of launch on twitch.tv/podcastdemastered.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, we will.
Dirty shameless plug.
That's okay. But I'm glad you plugged that because we're actually going to wrap up tonight's episode of No Man's Sky.
Okay.
Thank you for listening. If you liked us and you want to hear more of us, check out our sister podcast, Podcast Demastered. Follow us on Twitter at Demastercast. Interact with us. Let us know what you want to see on No Man's Sky. Let us know about your experiences in the coming week with No Man's Sky. What did you find? And if it's cool, we might bring it up on the show. You can find us on Twitch, which Joe just mentioned. You can find us on YouTube at Podcast Demastered, where you'll be able to find this video if you want to see our lovely faces and some of our older videos.
And I see our not so lovely faces back then.
Those videos are all right.
They have a lot of spirit.
No Man's Sky records every other week. It goes up every other Sunday. Podcast Demastered records every week, goes up every Wednesday morning. Subscribe if you like us. Leave us a review. We definitely appreciate the feedback. And thank you for listening to No Man's Radio. Have a good night.
And then a good morning.
And then a good. We don't know how the
How the night went.
the sun cycle is going to be on these planets. It could be a 2-minute night.
Could have